It's my turn.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Good to shake.
How you doing?
I'm alright.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. This is I think the second reading in Abuja.
Third.
Oh, third. We had Spine and Label.
Cafe one.
And then okay. And okay. Yeah. So thank you so much for showing up. Some people I think is their third time. Thank you so much. Well, my own is that I hope that they don't ask for the question. Shows it that
I'm looking forward to new questions as
New
well.
question. Well, I heard that you just came from Calabar to the House of Light.
It was good. We had 2 readings in Calabar, one in uni, and then another at Cafe One. They were very engaging. It was surreal to be sat like you know all the faces in the crowd sometimes. But I knew them, but I didn't know them as in personally. All of us were in Calabar together. So like, Calabar is small. I know your faces, but I don't know you. So it's very high. What's your name? For the first time in like 9 years. So it's crazy, and it was a very engaging discussion, and they had so many questions. And it was good, like, which was interesting because we hadn't like a lot of people in Calabar hadn't read the book yet. So it was like just interesting to see that even without like just based off the things that they read on the internet, we were already like chock full of questions. That was nice. Took pictures. It was fun too. It's always nice to sign talk to each person. And that was great. So Calabar was fun. And then I just got back in this morning, so it's been great.
Yeah. So many times. What has been your most memorable part of the tour so far?
Day one was very interesting because at that point I'm thinking nobody's going to come out from like, yes, you're invited people. Like, then you look in the crowd and you see faces you know and people you don't even know. Oh my god. Hi. I'm like, hello. Like, thank you. So that was nice. And the most memorable was the cake. And I don't even eat cake, but it was nice that somebody made a cake. I guess that was nice. So day one was very fun, and then since then it's just been every day is oh my god, this is real, this is real, this is real. So yeah.
That's legit. Okay. I think so. I read the Gold River.
hmm
I read it twice.
Okay.
Yeah. Really.
So you are the person who has read it the most, minus
for real?
me. That I'm going to talk to.
No, so I have questions on crafts. I have questions on Calabar. But I think the first time I read it, what hit me was that the Gold River feels like a love letter to Calabar.
I like that all of you say that.
Yeah, it is because Calabar is like a living, breathing character. I mean, there's Watts Market, there's the GRA there, and you're looking at how like there's a potential in Calabar that has died. And I was wondering, like the Calabar that you traveled to recently, is it the same one that you imagined in this book?
Yeah. Here's the crazy part. No. Yes. Yes, because Calabar doesn't change a lot. But there's some subtle things that have already changed in the year and a half, 2 years since I've been there. Like Ujimko is no more Ujimko. Guys.
What?
Yes.
It's not what?
Is Salvas or a Shafa. The white and red filling station. It's jarring. Because like yes, you say Ujimko still and everybody takes you there, but like yeah, yes, Salvas. It was very crazy. And there's more eateries.
Where?
You would think there's no more space. There's 2 more crispy chickens.
Huh?
Where?
Where?
There's one. This is different. Thank you for that question.
Are you like?
There's a crispy chicken at Ateko itself, like where Fiesta fries used to be.
Since when?
Oh,
Is now
that
crispy
one was
chicken.
there.
That one was there.
No, the Christian.
There's 2 more.
Oh,
huggies.
Christian.
2 more huggies.
No, there's always been 2 huggies now.
There are 3 now.
Oh,
Is what I'm saying. So the man is, I don't know. where
There's
the man is coming
the
from, but
hotel, there's the gym
Huggies
side.
Royale, then there's a normal. You know what? Just it has changed.
I can't wait to go home in Christmas.
Take my word for it. You will be shook. Like they've raised that Ateko building, like the Fiesta Fries, but you know they raised the floor. They've added another floor. I'm praying it doesn't fall. But they've added another floor. Calabar has changed a lot. But the thing about Calabar that is very um, memorable is that it doesn't change too much. Like the vibe will always remain the same. I was walking a bunch because I just wanted to really take in the sights again. And the feeling is still there, that airy feeling that like you're somewhere where you shouldn't be sometimes. It's still there. I'm back and decide like Sunday, everywhere was empty because everybody was in church. So like the roads are empty, nothing is open except the airport, thank God. Oh, Kaba's changed a lot, but not so much that if you understand it, you won't recognize it still because she's still there. But yeah.
Yeah, so okay. So what which means that if you were to rewrite this book now, the Calabar you're going to really change.
No, that's the good thing. What I tried not to do, I tried not to date the book by too much because yes, you're going to date the book. Like, if you read it, you know it takes place in the early 2020s. But um, other than just vague information that gives you placements or that grounds you in time and place, I try to keep it to a minimum. So yes, some things happen at certain points. And if you count the time, like if you have the fortitude to sit down and be like, oh yeah, he said this was 2006. So if that was 2006, what year are we now? So if you look through, yes, you can piece together the exact year happening. But other than that, I didn't want to date it too much. So I wouldn't change much. I wouldn't have to because a good thing about Calabar is that it's very hard to shake a name. Like Salvas is never going to be Salvas. It's always going to be Jimbo to everybody that lives there. They changed the name of Marian Road over 20 years ago to
What's this now?
Didem Musariso, but nobody acknowledges that name.
Is that what it's called?
That's what it's
Yes,
called.
that's what it's called. You did.
They changed all the names in state housing, but nobody acknowledges the old, like the new names because they're not going to come and tell us what we're going to call the places that we live. So yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not worried that you won't recognize Calabar if you go there now. They even broke the monoliths, and that was a very serious point of contention for yesterday's discussion. How erasure is just prevalent in Nigeria, how we just demolish and break down and put up statues of Jesus everywhere. And just this negligence of our own culture and our own traditions. Everybody's annoyed by it, all except refuse to call the things the names that they want you to call and do that.
So I think that's Calabar stubbornness. It's like an
Stubborn.
act. It's like an act of rebellion too.
Constant, constant act of rebellion. Existing in Calabar is rebellion in itself because Calabar is very low key and boring. And if you let it, it can make you very lethargic. Like we didn't start on time because nothing starts on time in Calabar. But we all knew that, so we gave them like a full hour. And then by the exact 1 hour mark, there's like 40 people just came in at the same time. Like, oh my god, I'm here. I'm like, we said two. So, but you know, like Calabar resists it resists modernity, it resists this change that wants to force itself on the city. Like, yes, we're going to do the new things and modern things, but the houses are going to remain the houses. Some places have not changed since I was born. Like they look exactly the same. Have they painted it? Yes. But it's the same paints. They didn't even change the coats. Like the down to the fine, you know the way non colors have coats. They use that exact like it's crazy.
High quality.
High quality has changed. Oh my god.
Eh?
It's a big building now
And that's like my favorite.
with
part
a
of it.
restaurant. I don't know what
High
they're
quality
doing.
now has a restaurant.
They have is my sister.
High quality has been in Calabar
High
since
quality
the
has been Calabar
70s.
since I was born before I could
Yes.
my parents.
No,
But guaranteed that the bread will still remain the bread.
The meat pie
The
remains
meat pie is
big
meat pie.
size.
The that one, yeah, the chocolate is still the chocolate. I can guarantee you those things will change. The building is nice to look at now. Sure. He's bigger building. Everybody's growing and everybody's, but the people are still the people. Like it's crazy. Kaba confounds um, normal people. Like you come visiting and maybe when you're visiting, you put on a face and you have a good time. Then you leave like, oh my god, and ask anybody that lives there. forget that thing. Like when am I traveling? Because everybody that is there wants to leave. You can never really leave because something will always carry you back. Family member, auntie, book signing, something to take you back. So yeah, it was great to go back.
Yeah, when we talk about it, makes it sound like it's like the perfect place to set an urban fantasy.
Yes.
Yeah. So like, and I've always okay, because now I think now I've answered my question. I need to ask why you set it in Calabar. Is it just because you love the time? There was something. It's just, what is magical? What's that magical quality apart from Calabar being able to resist change and being stuff?
Tap in the market. I'm joking. So,
No, it's actually
so
true.
for me, I wanted to tell an original story, a story that had all the elements of all the stuff that we like, but was still unique in itself. So I don't know anywhere the way I know Calabar. So for me, it was a no-brainer to set in Calabar. But me aside, Calabar in itself is also very otherworldly. What else? What that word? Esoteric. So there's this feeling and there's this vibe that makes it so Calabar rivals all the other old magic cities. So, like, I think of places like New Orleans and how they're more resistant to the change, and there's a constant evolution of Calabar is that in its way. It's very, I want to say magical because we've already said that, but living there is why, or for me anyway, living there made it so I became over time very aware of everything that was happening around me. Not in a this is demonic way because it wasn't demonic, it's just oh like what is that on the wall? Why is there just random CPD everywhere you go? Why are the statues so oh my god, it's looking like if you catch them on the right moment they'll blink at you or something. And then talk of like the way we celebrate our culture constantly and the masquerades and the parades and the reverence to our traditional rulers and all that. So it's very, in itself, it's very traditional, and that traditionalness is what you can immediately parallel with fantasy. So for me, it was very easy to just take what we had and then build off it in a way that honored what it was. I think I was, in my way, able to achieve that. I hope more people try. I hope everybody tries for the places they love to, because we need more stories about everywhere. Because places will change, no matter what we talk about. If there's no snapshot of how the place was at the time, you will think it has always been this way. So the stories that we tell about the places that we love make it so they never stop living. So you are able to capture their growth as well. So for me, absolute honor.
Okay. But there's something I think in your last answer you said the great houses never change. I personally have always wondered about those great houses. Like how popular are they? Why does everybody know about the great
Um, we are very respectful. So there are places where some families predate like Nigeria. Like an example that quickly comes to mind is Roots Rival in Lagos and how you can trace back their history that far back. In Calabar, there are so many families there. There are families that trace back their history, Dukes, Henshaws, Archibald, families that trace back their history to pre-colonialism, so before Calabar was established in itself. So the first people that moved from, where did they move from? From Duke Town, I think, up the river to establish a colony that becomes Calabar. So there's families that have been there since like Calabar was the capital of Nigeria. So their existence in those places then means that they are keepers of history and keepers of tradition because they are the people that the masquerades go to pay homage to every other week. They're the people that, if you look, they are still in government right now because like they've been around for that long. So for me, that awareness of the fact that not just politics, the shadow politics that that is the predetermined, like you cannot now enter there. Like those people have it, and they're always going to have it, unfortunately. So it doesn't mean you cannot achieve or you cannot do anything, but their heritage is an advantage for them. So that ancestry is what old families in Calabar boast of. Sometimes you may not they may not even have as much wealth now, but what they have for sure is their name. And you go with your name, they say, are you related to something to do and by connection? So Calabar being from those families is that in itself because they are the people everywhere. And that power, that power that your name gives you was something that interested me a lot and something I really wanted to explore.
Um, okay, first, the knowledge, that's all of this knowledge that these houses have. Is it that they are not accessible? Like, could I just show up one day and they'll give me all the books so that, like, I can write a visit or something?
Yeah, I guess you could. The most recently, a friend of mine was like, why didn't you tell me that this is what you were writing? We go meet my grandma. There's a library filled with information for you. And I'm just like, I mean, I didn't know you when I started, but like, thanks. And then meeting people like that is then affirming because a lot of my research was very watching, observing, then studying, reading research papers, tracing genealogies, that kind of stuff. So the real people, it's always fun to meet them. I knew a bunch over the course of like the years I spent in Ghana. But every once in a while, you meet somebody randomly, like maybe here, because I met somebody here in Roving Heights, and it's oh yeah, that place, the entire back of that road is my family that was there. I'm like, and also the person that owns Rabana, we just happen to know him. It's very, very, and you wouldn't know because you've known the pharmacy your whole life, and you think, yeah. But then the way the layers work is that somebody owns the pharmacy, they own the land that the pharmacy sits on. It means everybody around them is paying rent to them, and they've just always owned it. Nobody's taking it from them. So yes, you can gain access with social climbing, and I mean social climbing in the masquerade society sense because you can ascend. And I'm not trying to snitch, but yes, there's access to be gained. There's knowledge that even I don't have. There's knowledge that I'm hoping to attain. But the way it works in the book and in some ways, I guess, in real life is for genealogy, like, who's your father? Because you can gain something and or you can have access, but like, who are you? Where are you from? It doesn't even have to be that you are from here, but you have to know like where you're from and who you are before you can be let into these things because knowing yourself is a very important part of that. I said that in the West.
Well, how about so the mythology in the book? Is it Catholic mythology?
A lot of it leans on and it borrows from Efik mythology. And in BPO, I guess, but mostly Efik because of where we are. And the Efiks are one of, there's so many tribes in Cross River. I don't think any state boasts more tribes than Cross River. I'm not even from Cross River, I'm from Aquarium.
Oh,
Yeah. There's so many tribes in Cross River that there are places where the men and the women don't speak the same language. Just because, like, so many languages. Your village.
I used to forget.
Anyway, so Cross River is a very diverse. Cross River is a very diverse state. Calabar just happens to be one part of Cross River, and in Calabar, one of the major tribes is the Efik. You also have the Kors. I mentioned Kor in this book, but I don't mean Kor in context of like the Kors themselves. We're going to have fun with them. I'm not allowed to say anything about it. Anyway, Calabar is very diverse, and for anybody that doesn't know, sometimes it's very easy to simplify. Like a lot of the tribal stereotypes that we experience as minority tribes is generalization. Like most people say I'm a Calabar person. Me, I am, but because I lived in Calabar for long and I can see I'm a Calabar person. But in reality, I'm from Aquarium and Bibu. An Efik person is somebody who is from Calabar. Most Efiks are from Calabar itself. And historically, the Efiks and the BBOs are very similar. We branched out at some point and we crossed over to Aquarium, Bay State. And so we speak a very similar language. The language is similar that by virtue of understanding the BBO, I'm able to understand it from Efik. And a lot of us obviously this Nigeria, so there's tribalism and there's biases and but in my generation, this person doesn't like this person is less of a thing, especially if like you went to school. I mean, there's people who are still tribally bigger than I was, challenged, I guess. But for the most part, I I meet somebody from I meet an African person and like they speak their language. And I'm not saying oh don't speak their language to me. I'm just going to start speaking my own. As if I cannot speak African and I can't speak African sometimes, depending on the context. I write better African I speak, which is ridiculous. But identity is a very important part of it. I can't wait. Like you asked three questions and nobody has asked me. You're doing great.
Try my best. Well, I think so. With I think because after this, I had to read a little bit of technology, and I didn't get enough material.
That is the point.
I didn't get enough material. So right now, you're like my biggest granddaddy. So
He's here now.
yeah, he is. I mean, you guys can help.
Most interesting thing I found about African mythology is um, how it has absorbed I want to say Anglo Christianity. So the first thing I found was that Abasi is God to us, like the way God is God. Abasi is God in the way Eledumare is God. And the Christian word for, sorry, the Efik word for God now, as in even if you're praying to God, is Abasi. Because like, oh, Abasi is, yeah, an exclamation, like, oh God. And then you realize that that is the only bit that survived a lot of the scraping. So it's essentially we sacrificed a lot of stuff just to be able to call God God in the name that we know Him. And now we're in a place where, like you said, you went to do some research and you found next to nothing. I went to do some research and I found almost nothing. And then my friends reached out to like sociology lecturers and then I started getting where these are the creation myths, these are the spiritual practices. So a lot of the stuff that we would normally do has then been demonized and deemed witchcraft. And witch hunts were a thing for huge swaths of the early, I want to say 40s and 50s. And all my research pointed towards we are here and now we have to survive somehow. So they say, oh yeah, oh, no problem, we are going to go to church because the churches that really infiltrated Calabar were the Presbyterian churches, the Scottish missionaries. Mary Slessor herself was a Scottish missionary, is that correct? I think Mary Slessor was a Scottish missionary.
Yeah.
So Calabar is very originally Presbyterian. So that was a very interesting way. We are doing that. We're not going to stop celebrating our days. We're not going to stop honoring our kings. We're not going to stop. So Calabar's entire shtick is no. Yes, I'm a big man in church. All these masquerades always come to my house and dance. I'm going to give them money, and they will go on to the next person's house, and he will give them money. And then the youth are then incentivized to join in, and play nekbe is a very big part of indigenous ethnic culture. So that resistance for me felt like the most important point, the most what do you call it, the lightning rod for the entire consciousness. And I've read further now since I wrote the book, and I'm not trying to give away the things I'm planning to use, but I will say that what then happens with most religions also happened with us because Yahweh had a wife, Abasi had a wife. In fact, she's very central to Epic creation myth in that um, she's the one that gave human beings permission to not come back to heaven every day. Because our story goes, we're immortal, we don't know how to make food. So Abasi and his wife Atai are then in a place where, as their children, we come back to heaven every day. We come back to heaven every time just to meet with our parents. And then one day we figure out how to till the soil. And Atai promised that we would never figure that out. So we did, and all of a sudden we're no longer coming back. And now we're these immortal beings living um, on earth that are self-sustaining. So we are then cursed with, Atai then curses us with disease and death was consequence for her actions, or our consequence for our actions, I guess. But she messed up, I guess. You notice that they quickly blame the woman. So anyway, it's all good, but ethnic mythology and lore for me was then very, what can I find? And you're then aware of the fact that we also believe that there's energy in everything and that everything has a spirit. And that then leads to us being very honoring of our surroundings. And it's very sad whenever I see that like they've cut trees somewhere because those are in them, their spirits. The rivers are more undeniable. So the rivers are then are more or are more resistant essences, and they're the more popular deities and figures, which is why at the reading in Calabar, I mentioned an answer and the whole room sits up like, finally, our queen. And I'm like, okay, because she's very popular. And I haven't even touched an answer yet. I had to save some stuff for myself. But it was fun to learn about this place that I lived in for this long. And not from a, oh yeah, this is the house and this is the from a, these are the things that the land is rooted in. And these are the stories that we keep telling. Yes, the stories are not as popular, and if you Google, you won't find them. But a conversation with an initiated is then all of a sudden eye opening for you. Like, oh my God, I didn't even know that we went this deep. And it was very, for me, a reminder to go back to my own house too and go see what is going on. Video mythology also runs deep and is very engaging. It's been fun. Like there are how many minority tribes and everybody has their stories. So is to the next person, just write it. I can't wait to read the book wherever you're from. Thank you so much in advance.
Okay, but for okay, so I don't know with what so there are lots of river. I think the people there are very river based. There's a lot of rivers. I mean, I think you have like 3 river gods in the north.
Yes.
I mean, where does fire come in? Because
Thank you for that important question.
because I know like a lot of river tribes. Basically, fuck with that because you die in the river and stuff. But where does fire come in? Yeah.
Thank you so much. So when I was starting out, one of the first things I did was I wanted to know where the power lay in the world I was building. So pulled up a map, printed it, and then just stared at it for a while. So it was clear that the rivers play an important role because yes, we all know that. And then the masquerade society plays an important role. Yes, we all know that. So I had those two. And then I just really wanted to write necromancers. So I then said, what are the death customs in Calabar? So a lot of my research now into what's death customs and figure that out. So I could apply it to the fun necromancy I wanted to do. And then I just really wanted to write a wicked fire. So I made one up and I put them somewhere. And it's been yes. Everybody's then like, yeah, I can see why everybody would be wary of him because we're a very riverine tribe in nature. So it's like he's so strong and he can burn you. I hate the Fire Lord. What can I say? I had to do my own.
Yeah. I found that to be like a stroke of genius because I think when I got to where we were talking, when we met the Fire Lord, it's Fire Lord. Just from there, it felt like there was a stranger in our midst because you could see people burning up because these are not people who do fire. So that was I overthought it. I was like, oh my god! Finally, we have a bad guy that is actually like very very let's say linked and let's say is the word cognizant or uniform or harmony is in harmony with uniform. So yeah, I guess that was great. But now I think I'm going to ask my first question already. But yeah, so just something like what character was the most gut wrenching to write about? Now I have my what's her name? Onari's mother.
Nene.
Nene. Like I think that was where I would that's where if I could cry, I would cry. Because there was a line. There's a line where you said okay, no, I think it was my co-reading partner. She said loving spending all of your life saving a child, but not having enough time to love them, something like that. That's kind of that's for me.
Nene is a very dear character to me because she was one of those characters that haunts the narrative. Because you know the way when you're watching a movie and a man's wife has died, the woman in the black hair with the white, yeah. So for me, Nene haunted my mind for a long time because she first appears in a story I wrote years ago about a mother who had to give up herself to save her child. And it was very sad writing that story because for me, it was essentially the story of all the sacrifices that a parent usually makes just so they can see their child survive and thrive. And sometimes you brought this child into this world. Sometimes you bring a child into the world and they're beautiful, but they need help. And you are giving yourself every day just so that person, that child can smile. And Lily does that so well. Shout out to her.
Yeah.
But for me, it was very hard to write because every day you see emotion, you see it in the way everybody talks about how their parents make so many sacrifices for them. And to the point where the person is hollow eyed, like your mother is tired and she seems like she doesn't care about you. But this is because of how much of herself she's giving just so you are okay, like on a basic level. I don't agree that your parents have the right to be shitty because they are working hard or anything like that. I also think that as we grow up, you know the thing that they say, and when you grow, you understand the thing Papa will grow. Yeah, for me, becoming an adult has then just meant I'm not even making these levels of sacrifices yet. I'm tired. I remember how it would be for my mom and how hard it would be for her to like every day, like you're waking up at 5 a.m. Like, don't you want to sleep? Yes, but then it's that going to work and then coming back and still making sure that this person has everything they need because a child cannot do anything for themselves. In fact, that's a big part of H's journey, the fact that she's very young and she has to grow up quickly to essentially become like whoever her brother needs her to be. And the Henshaws were very hard to write. So gut wrenching characters, them as a whole, that story was hard to conceptualize because the moment you realize what you then have to write, you're stressed because it's like they're going to suffer so much. It's for a good cause, I guess, but in that moment, it is hard to do from the realization of how enormous the task ahead of you is to then doing it. Every iteration is an opportunity where you're then adding something else or remote, never remove. Rarely ever removing from the software when you're working on it, but you're just piling on. Sometimes you just, is this gratuitous violence? Am I killing these characters for nothing? Can I write the story without making them suffer? Well, suffering is a part of life. So I'm suffering, they should suffer too.
You said what's up?
Thank you for that question.
What do we call it?
Okay, I enjoyed the prologue. I enjoyed like the flow of language. And I think you suggested the spear cuts through water for me before. And yeah, the first time I read this, I was like, this sounds like something. Is that like that first paragraph?
Here's what it is. When I first wrote it, I had already read Spare, but you know when you encounter work that stresses you. So at different points in my life, I've read different things that made me realize I'm not going as hard as I can. So at some point it was Hello Sassume's Vagabonds, and then next it was Spear Cuts Through Water, it was The Traitor Barricoma, and just work that when you realize that prose past prose. Yeah. So it was very educative. And at some point, I even tried to, if you remember how the Spear Cuts Through Water is divided, there's a version of this book where the prologue is chopped like that. It flows, but it's cut. It flows, but it's cut. I liked it. The editors told me I should try. From a prose level, there's work that even in this bookstore as we're sitting to hear that is just ML Wang's Blood Over Bright Haven. Amazing to read. Prose that just grips you. So work like that is always great to read, and I love reading. I can't even read as much as I would like to because I'm usually, hopefully, when I blow, I have more time on my hands. But I love reading a lot, and
Yeah, so for this first chapter, I remember we were able to. Thank you. Um, where power is concerned, we always have to rule with fear instead of love. Because Afem just looks at someone and she's like, this guy doesn't fear me, I must make him fear me. I'm wondering, is it possible?
what it is I believe that it is better to rule with love and with kindness and to lead with kindness. But Afem is in a difficult position where we need her, where um, she has killed her father. That's not a spoiler. That's like the second paragraph. So she has killed her dad, and now she has to make these people that used to fear this man fear her. For all intents and purposes, they should be afraid of her already. Like she killed your god,
Yeah.
but men. So sometimes you think you can push somebody because they're young, because they're a woman. Afam was then in a position very early where she had to rubbish him fast and make sure that everybody understands that if you read on, by the time she's done, they are out there like, okay. So for me, I operated in the understanding that sometimes I know that it would be easier to lead with kindness, but I don't have that time. I don't have the convenience of letting you people get to know me and realizing that I'm a nice necromancer. I don't have that time. So I'm going to fuck you, sorry, up early so that everybody knows not to mess with me. So he was the unfortunate victim. And I don't even like that man himself. So it's nice to mess with him.
So, okay, I have two questions, and they are going like two different routes. I will pick one. So, two of our main characters are girls.
Mhm.
Why did you pick two women? Speak of women are more magical than men.
No, this is a wheel of time. What it is that um, answering this question means I have to go a little bit backwards for context. And so I'd written two short stories separately. Three actually, when you think about it. I mentioned the story with Nene and the woman that had to sacrifice for her child. And then we have the House of Old Marion, which is a story I wrote for a competition that I won. So that was nice. And the third story is Riverine. Riverine was the first story I'd ever written about anything esoteric in Calabar. It was a story about a girl who was refusing the call of the water constantly. I put the story on Medium years ago. And like that nobody even remembers it. But it's great for me because I then got to use it again. And by the end of the story, she dies her first death. And first deaths are a very important aspect of certain cultures in the book. So when I was then making these stories, well, I put the three stories on the table, and I'd written these three stories set in Calabar that were very steeped in the culture in different ways. And I realized that they were the same story. That in all this, I had maintained the same rules of engagement. So I built identical law across three stories. And then, so I just had two women. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing now. So I did that.
Because it seems intentional. The women are like the movers and shakers in the novel, and the men are so bad.
Thank you. Thank you for that very good question. Not necessarily. It lends to an important conversation about Calabar. So, in growing up in Calabar, something that you immediately understand is that Calabar is very matrilineal. So, a lot of the families are held up and sustained by the women. And they are not just as in the women. In fact, like my mom would even be like, if you must marry from somewhere to my cousins and my sisters, don't marry a man from Calabar. They are very lazy. They are very useless. That's what I mean. I know that most tribes say that about their men, but Calabar zone is too.
We're all told of that.
Yeah, well, I'm serious.
Calabar men.
But it's a very women get things done and women are in charge. A lot of the families are very the mother is the head of the house, the grandma is the head of the house, the aunties are the head of the houses, and that's not to say the men are not there. And the men don't mind. They get to chill and sit down somewhere and drink stout. Like it's calm. Nobody's they're not doubting your role in the house, but like they don't really it's not their business. And for me, that was something that was important to showcase in the story that there is no questioning when a woman is in charge in Kaba. I know now with more like with in fact it's even now that we didn't have that weird I mean there's obviously going to be malevolence, misogyny everywhere, but like in Kaba it is less of a thing, I guess, because nobody questions when a woman is in charge. And it was important to show that so yes, there are heads of houses that are men, the most useless ones. But but a lot of the characters that make things happen for the common good in the work are the women. And aside from the main characters, it was very important to showcase that. My fascination with necromancy. Uh, the ability to control the dead intrigues me.
Why?
Well, first of all, when you work in healthcare, you on a daily basis experience a lot of death. It's the kind of thing where your lecturer is teaching you, like it's ward rounds, all of us are standing in the class. Or not even the class, the ward, because the ward is the class. And they're going patient by patient teaching you. And then we're standing in the middle for a little discussion, and then a woman starts wailing. So her husband is dying. And I'm bothered because this is my first time in a medical ward where I'm experiencing death. And the doctor's like, if you look anywhere that's not my eyes, I'm sending you out of here. And now you're standing and you realize that what they're trying to do is desensitize us very early through death and to things that are happening because you need to be able to act without any emotion sometimes when you're working on it because you need to be making the best decision for the patient. Sometimes letting them go is the best decision, but rarely ever. You try your best till you don't. And if you are stressed and you're anxious about saving the person that you're trying to save, you are less likely to be able to save them. So they're trying to teach us very early to chill the F out and just do what we need to do because that man died, if memory serves. But he didn't die immediately. Somebody saved his life first. Then he died a couple of days later. But in that moment, everybody was very calm and the room was very quiet. And before that, it's your time in mobile anatomy. Because before you go to the clinics, they take you to the cadaver lab. Now you're spending hours just where they're just teaching you straight from the body. This is a heart. Everybody hold it. And the way you pass like a pen, everybody has to see in class, they're passing the human heart. And all of us are gloved up. They pass to the next person. So can you feel? So that informed my awareness of the body before my knowledge that I wanted to write necromancy in this way came to me because I then began to encounter a lot of work with people. I'm like, you people want me to write necromancy, don't you? So I did. And in that moment in time, I was lucky that I had the necessary knowledge because I wasn't then doing research immediately. It was very easy to visualize from a watching, you watch zombie movies. I don't watch zombie movies. I'm particularly wary of hordes.
Yeah.
So writing hordes was a fun way to face that. I'm also very wary of snakes. So writing snakes was a very let's face that. I'm also very wary of drowning. So writing drowning. So for me, this book was a lot of facing those ridiculous. I don't think they're like ridiculous because if I drown, I drown. I don't think some. I think some of my fears are unfounded. So yes, it was fun to do that, and yes, it's because I'm a doctor, but it's not entirely because I'm a doctor. I'm also very sad, and a lot of sad people are drawn to necromancy. Check it.
Fair, fair. Well, I think another thing that was I think still in this prologue was his family trap because of course I'm looking at H. Yeah, because H could have been anything. I mean,
She
she's
could be Maldives.
yo
Yeah,
yo
yeah.
like she's extremely resourceful. I stand. Afem is for all anybody is well to attention. That's what
Why does everybody think this is like the third reading where they're saying Afam is a spoiled brat?
she? I mean,
I disagree
and
with all of you. I like her. That's my baby.
Afem never had money problems.
True.
So
True.
that's she has like a certain privilege that H doesn't have. Even when you see the
Damn,
interactions.
you are right.
And,
Sorry, she's
Yeah.
rich.
so yeah, but
Apologies that she's wealthy.
They should get her money.
but still,
Privilege.
across the class divide, there's this. There's still that whole trapping of family. So yeah, it's family trap.
I don't think so. I, on the whole, think family is strength because you make friends eventually. If you're lucky enough, your family are usually your first port of call for the thing that you then build off of that becomes friendship. A lot of people, because human beings aren't perfect, we're then in a world where we are flawed, our families are flawed, so you don't have the best relationship with all your siblings, or you guys have a frigid relationship. But for me, I don't think family is a trap. I understand that duty to your family can be very overwhelming, and that's one of the things that I try to explore in this novel, where we are in a place where the character has what you want to be, you have what you want to be, and you know the things that you've sacrificed at the altar of maintaining your family. You know the things that you could be, the ways you could be, the job that you would have loved to do, the course that you would have loved to study that wasn't engineering or medicine, the thing that you would have liked to explore that you didn't explore because you were worried. And sometimes it's not even that anybody told you don't do it, because a lot of the times some of us are very preemptive about our duty to our family. So I don't think family is a trap, but I think duty is tricky because I firmly believe that you should do what you want to do and everybody will be fine. But I understand why you wouldn't want to, because I don't like to stress people. And I understand sometimes that carving your own path, fulfilling your own purpose can be stressful. And yeah, essentially, family is not a trap. Please love your mommies and your daddies. And your siblings too. Siblings are great. Sometimes, I guess. Next question.
So I like to talk about like the houses now.
Yes,
Yeah, I like to talk about the houses.
you are allowed to talk about
So
that.
I love the freelancers because they're like those people in the story that if you are looking for anything,
Yeah, your guys.
yeah, they are your guys. Yeah, I don't even like that in Calabar.
Yes, but there are people like that everywhere. There's a guy that knows all the guys. So we have people that essentially fix us everywhere. Like I know who to call in Abuja if I need whatever. It doesn't matter what I need. So for me, freelancers, just people. There's a guy that has everything. There's a guy that is a plumber. He's also an electrician and a carpenter. But he also sells what on the side, and he's doing all those things at the same time. So for me, it was an exploration of how important artisans are. We hate them because they delay. The tailor wastes time. The mechanic sucks. He overcharges you sometimes. But they sustain us in such a way that you have them saved on your phone. James Carpenter. James Electrician probably knows who you need for the other thing. So for me, freelancers wear that in the community where they are important. They are not overlooked because everybody acknowledges their power. Everybody knows that if these guys say they're not working again, we are screwed. But we also look down on them because maybe they don't live where you live, or maybe they're not from the same societal class as you. So for me, the freelancers were an opportunity to explore people who know themselves enough that they understand that there's power in the collective in as much as we are all individuals.
So what does he say when they're sort of like pushed to the edges of the society because H has to H has to go somewhere to find them. They have to do that in secret, and they're not really signed into houses. So what does that really say about our current society when they push that freelancers around?
Yeah,
Or do they have to be at that position?
it is commentary on otherness and exclusion and how you are important to society, but society doesn't really want to see you.
all the time because you are not what they want to pass off as the norm. So for me, the freelancers were a very important facet to explore because they exist in these, I'm not going to call them liminal spaces, but they exist in these spaces where um, the the land doesn't belong to anybody, it doesn't belong to them either, but they get to use it because they understand that those places are places where they can be free to be themselves. They have land that is not allocated to them per se, but land that all of them have collectively bought into. And I'm not going to say it's about gentrification because it's not per se, but it is usually about how it's very easy to lose yourself in being yourself. Individualism is something that capitalism tries to force on all of us because it's easier to sell something to each person. But if one person has it, all of us don't have to have it because we're not all using it at the same time. So the freelancers are very anti society as it should, as they want it to be. And for me, that was very important to highlight because otherness exists and people who are important to that are running like to our day-to-day lives, what exist on the fringes exist. So I love freelancers a lot.
Which brings me to my next question.
Thank you so much.
The are you okay? You don't mind answering quick questions?
Shoot.
Yeah, shoot, yeah.
That's the first one. Finally, come on. I've been waiting.
Yeah. No, so it's a very quick book.
It
And
is, isn't it?
yeah, and I think while we were reading, someone pointed out to me that UT in some places they were they, some places they were she. So I was thinking that it was like an editing error. Oh, it's actually. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
so
It's still there now.
it's still there now.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, I can so tell us more about UT first.
I
Because
love
I
UT
would love to get a card
so much. I have UT cards, by the way. UT is one of my favorite characters to have written in years from a person standpoint because I had this challenge for myself where I wanted to write a character who was essentially non-binary for all intents and purposes. Gender is performance, and they appear a certain way and they look a certain way. But they can be addressed however they want to be addressed. So when I started with UT, it was entirely they them, or with you, like for you part of the book. And then I read it again, and I'm like, yes, I want to do this, but I also don't want to stress people's brains too much. So yes, she they works because yes, UT I know you find in address as she. So and then in rewrites, doing it but also just leaving it in certain points as rebellion. Like, and because yeah, okay, somebody reads it and they're like, is that an error? And then they read it again and oh it's not an error. I'm then able to achieve what I was trying to achieve in the first place, where a character has two pronouns, where a character's pronouns feature in totality. So yeah, UT is fun, UT is beautiful, UT is a pillar of her community or their community. And whatever you want, whichever thing whatever you're feeling like. And I enjoyed writing UT so much because I didn't get a lot of chances to write UT. So every time UT popped into the stage, like, you again, come inside. And then we go with the scene because every UT scene is a chance to showcase their strength and how important they are to Calabar's supernatural community. So yeah. And it's just an affirmation of people's existence because if you've lived somewhere long enough, you've seen everybody. And I've seen UT everywhere. I've seen UT in Calabar, I've seen UT in Abuja. I've seen it. Come on, dog.
How much were you held back? Yes, this is very. How much were you held back in writing the, budding yearning between our two characters? Because there's so many places like
Nobody held me back.
nobody held you back.
In
Because
fact, they told me to go as crazy as possible. And I tried to go crazier, but they refused. So what had happened was every once in a while you want the characters to do something. And
Oh.
they don't do it.
there's a particular place they were supposed to do
Despite your
something.
best efforts. Yes, I tried. The editor tried. All of us tried. And then we just sat down and like, I guess it's not happening. Let's move on. So yeah.
Something was supposed to happen in that place.
People just
Like,
want to be smart, man.
I'm a child of an
Bro.
I'm sorry.
Go and read
Yeah.
smart.
So for me, exploring the romance
Yeah.
in the way I told it was
very um, I want to say fun because I believe in yearning. I believe that yearning makes the world go round. I believe that the romance that feels like the world is if I don't talk to my Shammah, the world is going to end. It's the best kind of romance. I
Because
believe
of book I came here.
Understand.
I'll be carrying the cup.
I believe in
Which one is
defiant
Shima?
I believe in defiant love. And
Don't talk to you.
and that is what I try to explore. Love that resists everything. And maybe it doesn't show up in the way it shows up in, I guess, a romance novel. But I wasn't trying to write a romance novel. But I understood that their friendship, their family, and their love is such an important facet of this story that, like, what drives you? I want to be okay. I want my family to be safe. I want this person that I care about more than anything in the world to be safe, to be able to live next to me, to thrive. Like, so, why can't we do that? So for H&FM, for me, it was very important to try my best to bring them together. And I tried my best. What you see is my best effort, guys. Like,
No, you tried your best. Come and
let's leave me.
Can you stop?
Leave me. We're going to have so much fun. We come and baffle. Well, no. Let's look to the future. But yes, that's the existence of these characters in that way and to not be questioned, especially live, because everybody knows the risks publishing work that is like so it's harder to even market because yes, you want to market it like rooftops and shout, "Oh, yeah, this is what is happening in the book, oh," but you also want people to just find it and everybody tell everybody. And for me, I realized that it isn't a me thing because there's a lot of work that exists in that way. Maybe it's my fault, but I didn't know Brother Honey Big Bread was a queer book. I didn't know till I picked it up to read. And then I read it and I'm like, oh my god, okay, yay, this is nice, interesting. Yes. So you have to jump through a lot of hoops to put out work in the way that you want to put it out in Nigeria. I was lucky that I didn't have as many hoops. I was lucky to have had a supportive um, team and supporting editors, supporting publishers. And it was easier than I thought it would be. Because when I was doing this, I thought it was a holy task. If I don't do this, the world will end. And then I got, and everybody's just like, bring the book, let's print. And that was great. So it's nice to know that there's room for the kinds of stories that we're trying to tell in Nigeria. And yeah, it was fun for me. I hope you guys enjoy it as much.
yeah. Okay, so I keep moving on to the House of the Masquerade. I think there's a part where the book says that the house they are really connected. And in my head, I was like, it's because they can wear masks. That's why they can go anywhere. Am I cooking?
More or less, but the Masquerade Society, even in Calabar as we have it today, prides itself on contradicting the celebration and secrecy. So they're very public about their affairs. They're not a hide in the dark and spin around calabash society. They're a very public facing. They're having parades every other week. Oh yeah, why is this road blocked? Hey, so now they're passing here. And then you see everybody in their car just pass with the masquerades and it's fun to watch, it's fun to witness, it's fun to be a part of because sometimes you dress up and join them, even though you're not part. And nobody will stop you because it is inclusive and welcoming. But then you also understand that there's layers to the society that I haven't even entirely explored in the work yet. That I've wrestled with whether I can, because if I honor this thing the way I honor it and I respect it the way I respect it, I want to be speaking truth to power and telling people about this, but I also don't want to be snitching. Yeah, so I'm trying not to snitch. That is essentially what it is. When I was traveling back, my mom called me. I was like, oh, I don't think you should go to Calabar. I'm like, oh, why? And she was like, everything you wrote. Like, everything I wrote. And I'm thinking, what did I write that's so problematic? But then I remember that it is a thing of we all know, okay, don't expose X, don't expose Y, don't say too much about this. But also, we need to survive and we need to thrive and we need to talk about ourselves and in such a way that we're not forgotten. So for me, I'm paying
homage, homage, I don't know which one is correct, to the society in the story in a way that doesn't snitch.
I guess. So I think I think one of the things in the book was where I think you have to like ascend,
Yeah, the Masquerade
before
Society
you sort
is
of like,
an ascension based.
and a crazy thought hit me. I was like, could it could a mask, wearing a mask, be a means of self-excavation?
Yeah.
Could this be a path to you discovering maybe some sort of person? That's as far as you know, that's something.
As far as I know it, as far as masquerade culture is to me, wearing a mask is giving yourself power because the masks are representational. So Idiawebo is bad spirits, but it doesn't mean bad spirit as in evil. I think it's bad in the trickster way, as in issue for context. So there's different masks for different purposes. They're not always wearing masks, but a place where you can become something because we believe in shifting. The Ekpe masquerade is essentially Ekpe means leopard. So the Ekpe masquerade is essentially a leopard spirit, which is where shape shifting in that form comes from. And the belief is that when you're witnessing and you're watching somebody become a leopard, become braver, become more cunning, become a predator. So a mask is a place where you can become more. It's a place where you are able to explore yourself more. And I can't wait to explore that more in the book.
Yeah, yeah, no. Okay, so since you can't wait to explain this,
Again, okay, there's nobody stopping me here now, thank God. Nobody didn't travel with me. I would like to think so. It's in the works, it's being worked on. I would like this to marinate a lot while I work on that because this took me a while. This took me a while. I want to say, if you don't count the period where I was in uni, it took me like 3 years to write. Doesn't mean it should have taken that everything going forward would take me that long because I'm crazy and I believe I can achieve anything I set my mind to. So yes, it comes soon, but until then we have this. And the hope is that we don't even end at sequels. The hope is because there's so many things I would like to explore on a personal basis because a lot of this stuff stems from ideas that I put down over the years that I then brought into one cohesive world. So for me, something that was separate until the work started was the Faculty of Mysteries. It, it immediately made sense to include it in the book because why not? But when I first started it, I wanted to write some dark academia about a hidden magical university in university. And I'm still doing that because every once in a while I go back to the document and I add to it. But then using it in that way then legitimizes it and it then means I don't have to do too much. I've already built the world that I'm going to live in. I've already built the world I'm going to tell the stories in. And from there, the only way is I want to say up, but ahead, I guess. So, yes, to politically answer your simple question. Well, I can't really say if okay, thank you so much for that because I've been waiting. Everywhere I go, somebody's going to ask me, when is the next one? And it's usually the people that have read it twice, the greedy ones like Shammah that ask.
no, it's there's so much more to think about. I wish I could spoil it because I try when I can spoil it.
You're doing great. Ask one more question.
Okay, so I will ask. I think okay, I'm still traveling through the Africa. So does tyranny have to keep consuming to stay alive, or is there some sort of sustainable tyranny that we can negotiate?
Sustainable tyranny is crazy. um, to answer your question, yes, he's ruled for a long time. But for me, the question to be asked is should he? Because yes, you're in charge, and I firmly believe it is unnatural for a thing not to run its course.
Yeah.
So to me, Odafire's existence is an aberration. Ofion's existence is an aberration.
Yeah.
Because where Ofiong is an immortal necromancer, Afem was born naturally. And she has the same power. So she's not immortal. So I guess Afem can die. Promise I'm not going to kill her.
Time will tell.
but in the sense, the existence of anything that isn't like they're supernatural, but they are human.
Like a human, to be human is to die. Like anything that doesn't die is then considered. Why are you like we are not? This is not how we do normally. Why are you reach your turn? You want to take two. Why are you not like? Why don't you want to die? So for me, the immortal characters is a. The question is not whether tyranny is necessary because yes, he sustained his house to this point, but who's to say his house wouldn't have survived absent him this whole time? So our rulers have refused to die. That's a big problem in Nigeria. It's a big problem. Cameroon just celebrated, but the man has declared himself the winner again. So it's like, yes, it is commentary on politicians and their refusal to let us and their insistence on controlling the way things must go because they think they know what is best for you. Meanwhile, it's just what is best for them. So he is hot, but he's not a good person. Please. Thank you very much.
You're telling us.
Thank you
Telling
very
us don't
much.
like 5 months.
Yeah. But I think with Elder Fire, I think I could see how by effectively, I say, trapping our stories, he was able to retain power for that. That hit me as a commentary on colonialism. So, yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, you
All
know.
right. I'm
And
in the
so,
right places. Thank you so much.
which and I don't. I'm just going to say there's a rich, slave history. How
There
much of
is.
that you have to interact with, and were you not afraid that you're just going to house one house?
One of the first places you go to when you come to Calabar as a university student, as part of the excursion, is the slavery museum. Because they're like, welcome, we did it. We sold our people. Let's move on. So it's like your first interactions with slavery and colonialism are if you go to the museums, they're very, yeah, this is a reckoning with our history because we have a tendency to rewrite our history so that it is more convenient. You think to the Civil War and the stories that are being told and how someone has a refusal of like the Igbos to let the story be told in that way. What's the song about they wanted to separate Nigeria? Yeah, you get so there's constantly going to be somebody telling a story and it's usually the victor. And in most of the stories that you hear of, the person that tells the story is the person that won. And for us, or for me anyway, writing those parts of the book was a way to explore that tendency for history to be rewritten conveniently, just so that all of us don't realize how messed up the situation we're actually in is. That is not a spoiler, you know. But it is important to note that I like to say we when I'm talking about it because I work with an amazing team. But it was a conversation that it's like, is this another layer that we have to add to this book? Like, is it necessary to add that layer to this book? And then you realize that the book doesn't, you take it out and then you realize the book doesn't survive or the book doesn't hold without it. So it stayed and I'm glad it stayed because it's an important conversation to have.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite. I wish there was more of that personally because I looked at it. I was like, yeah, this. I kept telling everyone that this is the soul of the book. This is because that sort of like holds everything together. It steps up everything. That's just that. I love that. Well, I think okay. Back to the so to the House of Water.
Faves.
Yes, someone sat down. I'm which point? Someone sat down and saw God. How does that work? Because when I look at other mythologies, if Zeus comes, you die. You get-
Essentially,
There is a distance between
River House is not a my God is up here
Mm.
and I'm here um, exploration of water. It is very in Nigerian stories we hear a lot about Mami Water. And those stories are very prominent in Calabar. Stories of the Magin and the esoteric and Anansa's power over the water on her river. You do not mess with her. Navy, the Nigerian Navy tried and failed. So it is a very embedded in our history, and we don't look to them as, oh, this is a terrifying. For me, that's somebody to turn to because she's on my side. So
for River House, in the way I wanted to explore it, it was everybody. Um, you call your mother if you need help, and she will answer you. And as long as you're there, and as long as there's water, you're close to home. So call your mother. So yes, it is a summoning, but it's not a I summon you, help me. It's a hey auntie, I'm in your house and I need help situation. Yes, they're gods, but they're also just except Kana. They're also just parents. They're also just like because dying your first death is essentially being chosen by a court. So this is the person that is going to hold you for the course of your life, and when you die, you are going to return to the water. So for me, River House was very poetic, very beautiful, very heartbreaking in many ways because yes, they've survived this long, but it's also how long must they like stay on the fringes to stay alive. Yeah, I love River House. I don't know if you can tell. I really like. I like it almost like I like my two major houses. I like everybody except um. Well, I also realize that that's my personal bias for now. And when I finally get into the meat of things, I'll just realize that as I'm trying to explain, we are all the same. Like, yes, we are different and we have different tribal identities and we have different things that, but at its core, like, no difference between me and you.
No, maybe the next book you name it The Masquerade of Fire. And now so that is
He's
equality.
doing his best. I wanted to give myself an opportunity to explore more characters without jumbling in a bid to do all my world building in one book, pack everybody and put. So for me, characters that I didn't entirely explore, that I'm looking forward to exploring are characters within. I'm looking forward to exploring masquerade society politics. I'm looking forward to exploring the magic systems that are already set in place and how they can be subverted and manipulated and used for my agendas because they are my agendas. I'm looking forward to exploring Ikan as it concerns the house itself, not the man that is the face of the house. So for me, just everybody got, some people got, well, UT is society though. So everybody got a character. UT is a freelancer,
He's a
yes.
freelancer.
But the beauty of the Calabar that we've built is you are welcome. Yes, do your own thing, but we're our parents are always trying to get us to come home. So it's like never be afraid to go back home. Except for H, she was clearly terrified to go back home for reasons best known to the book. But never be afraid to go home is a very big like no matter how it's doing, just come home first is a very big thing where we're from. And I know that it's for most of us it's very similar. And once you are stressed and you call your mother, she's like, do you want to come back home first? Like, and for me, has never been a place to run away from. And I guess I'm lucky in that respect because that isn't the case for everybody. And it's not just home in the familiar sense, I guess, because a lot of us were raised by our friends. And yeah, your family is great, but your friends are fun. And yes, they're not going to tell you not to do anything. Like, all of us suffer the consequences together. But but going home is very important for us and for River House especially. The society is very ancestral, and yes, you can become a member of society by initiation. But most likely, you were born into it. Most likely, you were born adjacent to it, like before it drew the attention. So I can't wait. Masquerade Society is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Fire Masquerade.
I can't think I can deny the sequel anymore.
Yeah.
It's happening, guys.
No, I always, I'm the sequel guy. I always have pointers.
It's
I have fan fiction.
Speaking of Africa, no, we can't speak of it yet.
Okay, so yeah, I think our time is about to run up before we move on to ask your question. So I just want to admit to pull back from the book. So when you're not writing, what do you do? I mean, we had recently.
I think about writing a lot. So I would say think about writing. That's the full writer answer. But I'm a doctor, so I'm usually in a hospital somewhere working. That's fun sometimes. It gets boring. So when nothing is happening, I think about writing.
Because I mean, so but what was your regimen for writing? Did you write every night? Because I know while you're writing this, you're also because a lot of your short stories are are coming out. Some don't have money to buy, but we
Don't
thank
worry,
God.
don't worry about
We
it.
thank God. We thank God. We know that they are coming out. You get
Yeah,
but
I
some of
have
them are
one
very-
coming out in 2 days. Cinema magazine, Fusion Fragments. It's a Canadian mag. It's a story. It's environmental sci-fi. So that was fun. I wrote that like 2 years ago. I just finally got it. You'll get rejected a lot. You got a lot of rejection, but finally somebody said yes. So I sold that. I also have another science fiction story coming out in Locus magazine. No, Vector with the British Science Fiction Association. It's a fun issue that's supposed to be um, a way to use science fiction and African futurism as a teaching tool for the Imperial College and for one of their courses. So they got a bunch of us to write stories for that cause so that like those stories are then used to examine the way technology can be biased towards people on the basis of their race, gender, class seats don't fit women, and AI is already arresting people. And yeah, so that was fun to explore as well. And then I have one more story. Hopefully that gets accepted. So and that story is very important. I need that story to get accepted because I explore a very big two concept in that short story, and that was fun. It's called The Children of the Ghost Leaf Tree. And you encounter the ghost leaf tree in tiny ways in book one because it's mentioned in its different manifestations. Momo Ikoeko is essentially ghost water leaf in the book, but the ghost leaf tree is then an entirely different concept that occurred to me while I was writing book one, but I realized would not fit in book one, so I just wrote it in the book two documents. And so short stories are usually a way for me to play with ideas, come up with characters, come up with lore, and also just do something that's self-contained, practice prose. Because to be able to do something in a short story, to be able to tell me more or a lot of stuff in a very small, what 5,000 was, the book is 97K. The first short story I wrote about the book was 7K. So the House of Old Marion was 7,000 words, and that is a long short story because I had to push it. Because it was long, it was then harder to sell before I finally got sold. But I tried my best to tell a version of the story in the House of Old Marion. And the version you see in the book is completely different, but it was a great challenge to myself to write short fiction in this world that was like established, not the other stories that I then brought together. Like, this is the world that we are in. So yeah, short stories coming out, and I'm looking forward to reading them because I haven't read them in a while. And yeah, looking forward to touring more. Tell your friends in Kaduna I'm there next week for some bizarre reason. Jermaine, I promised when I tweeted like years ago, God, if you publish this book for me, I'll go to Jalingo. And hopefully they'll send me to Jalingo.
It's like the Mabila part with that.
Yeah.
Step into
I wish Nigeria was safer to travel because I don't mind.
the-
There's nothing more fun than sitting down like this and just yapping about work that you care about and I like answering questions. Speaking of questions, I think
Yeah, so I think it's time for you. Yeah. So please, if you have any question, now's your time. I still have more, so but
No more from
So
you.
please go back to John's.
So what we are going to do is, if you have a question, book related or related to him as a person,
Jesus Christ.
keep it PG. But like if today's Sunday, the feast of the Lord be. Let me stand up so I can see you guys. So if you have any question, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay, one, two. Any more questions? It's not now. Three. It's not now. When I close the
Here's what's going
question.
to happen. I'm going to answer questions
So
and then
she
there'll
just
be
take-
more questions.
Okay.
So just run
So-
the gauntlet. I'm ready. Hi.
Hi, you tell us your name and then you ask your question.
Am I first?
Yes. Raise your hand
Okay.
first.
Yes, please.
I am Shay, and the question I have is how do you strike that balance between staying true to source material and taking creative liberties?
Thank you for that question. The source material is important, and there's it's an interesting thing for me to always try my best to make sure that if somebody reads it, they understand that it is different, but they also know where I'm coming from. And Brandon Sanderson has this law called the zeroth law. It says to always defer on the side of the thing that is most fun. So I never hold back from having fun. As long as I'm having fun with what I'm doing, source material will be fine. In fact, it's even better if I don't draw too much from source material because I'm then have room to wiggle. Because once you box yourself into the source material, say this is how it is, and nobody actually does. We all pretend like they're sticking to it, but nobody sticks truly and entirely to their source material. So for me, the balance was listen to it, close it, go and write, see what you come up with. Don't hold back because in this particular culture or in your culture they do this particular. In fact, if I then do that, I am doing the thing that I'm trying not to do. So for me, the balance is stay true to me as a person, and I like fun. I love reading fun stuff. It's not always the brightest stuff. Sometimes it's dark, but it's fun too. So yeah, thank you for that question.
Okay.
Who's next?
Hi everyone, my name is Nkereuwem.
Hi,
Congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
So I'm a bit familiar with Calabar.
Yes.
Spent 300 years there.
Hellish.
Does anybody have time with Calabar that isn't hellish?
Fair enough.
Please keep going.
Um,
Sit down.
Wow, look out.
Sit down.
okay, from the people I interacted with quite a few other people. They seem to be quite matrilineal, traditionally so. So why did the houses, right? It's only one house, only water house. That's
Thank you for that very wonderful question. For me, there's two answers. One of those answers is leadership, as I saw it in our world, is a very family unit thing, and all the families that I'm very close to, I'm very, as I say, we are very the mother, the grandma, and so I tried to write a lot of elderly women, a lot of older women as well. And then I wanted it to be clear to anybody that read it that something off going on here. Because, like I said earlier, I think when we were discussing the matrilineality of Calabar, the women in the story are very involved in putting things right. And who put the things wrong? Thank you so much. But it's not that is not a castigation of men as a whole, but just commentary on how, in a bid to retain control and in a bid to stay in control, you are then creating something that is a unnatural, an aberration of what is the norm. So yeah, thank you for that
It was the third question.
question.
No,
No,
nobody.
everything.
Good afternoon. My name is Chukwunke.
I choose.
Hi.
My question is a bit. I don't know anything about the book. I haven't read it.
Yes.
But I know I was captivated by the covers from the first day you posted it on Twitter. So I just wanted to ask the skull on the cover. Is it an elephant or a mammoth?
It's a mammoth. It is one of the most interesting things about this book was exploring the parts of ethic law that go unseen. The we talk about the gods and we talk about the spirits, but there's also this thing in most law where we have a reverence for creatures, and I don't like to say the name because I always butcher it. But there's this mammoth. When you read the book, you see the name in the book. But the great mammoth is one of those things that just pops up. I was lucky in a lot of ways that a lot of the stuff that I use just happened to be stuff that already existed. So the great mammoth just pops up in Epic Law and wanders through the spirit realm. And then you have the giant catfish. And I like to know that in fantasy, when you want to make something, you just make it crazy big. Because why is it so big? And the things that inspire our wonder, I'm very fascinated by large creatures. I watched a lot of National Geographic and whatnot in the build up because I knew that I was going to have to come up with stuff. And then I needed stuff to ground the stuff I was writing. And blue whales are amazing. If you haven't seen The Hunt, it's narrated by David Attenborough. His voice is very cool. But The Hunt explores prey and the relationship between predators and prey. And I got to witness a lot of like blue whale stuff. And even I realized that for the people recording as well, it's like, yes, we're here capturing this wondrous creature. But it's also like, wow, why is it so big? Why don't we see it often? Because it's so big. If we saw this every day, we would be freaked out. So the giant mammoth, as it is in the book, is the mammoth skull. But it is my hope that I see bigger creatures in the book going forward. But yes, it is a mammoth. You have
Also,
any more
if you
questions?
have further questions about the cover,
Cover artist.
the
Blame
cover
her.
artist is here with us. Any more questions? Minus you.
Plus him actually. I know Shammah has a lot of questions. We're waiting
We'll
months.
get back to you. Any more? We'll get back to you.
True.
For any more questions? So I have a question. There is. Sorry, this is a question I should have asked at the very first reading. But they told me to shut up my mouth. Anyway, so there's a passage in the book where they take milk. So it's a question. So if you lie and you die because of what you're taking, and they are doing a back and forth asking questions, and that passage brought one of my favorite series to mind, which also is one of your favorite series.
Thank you
So
so
I
much.
want a confirmation if it is from Red Rising,
so-
specifically. I think Morning.
No, it will be Golden Sun. So there's this sequence in Pierce Brown's. You guys should read Pierce Brown's. I like a good conversation,
Yes, Golden Sun.
and conversations are such an important. Conversations are such an important way to carry a story through. And for me, that question and answer was very reminiscent of work that I'd read beyond Red Rising, just engaging it with a person who has the ability to end your life on a dime is always a nice place to put a character, especially a character that is trying to hide things. I would read the sequence, but I'm going to leave you guys to reach there by yourselves. I usually read it at these things, but for the first time, I'll leave it to you people. And it is the name of the chapter is The Law. It is by my count chapter 10. I don't know what the count is now because we removed the chapter counts because the editors didn't think naming the chapters and naming the chapters was cool. I thought it was cool, but they didn't agree with me. And so naming the chapters was fun too. And chapter 10 was a very fun chapter to write because, like Daru and the Sovereign, I then put my character in a place where she was with somebody who knew that she was hiding something. Somebody who is very well versed in sussing out truths because they've done this many times before you. And now your job is to not lie, but to not give up yourself. Thank you for that question.